For this next task, we're going to move the robot forward and stop on a black line, but this time we're going to use the switch control block. So let's bring up a switch. Here's the control block, here's the switch. And now let's look at a switch of a different type, a light switch. This is the light switch that's next to my desk and controls the lamp that's on my desk. Now it's on. Now I turn it off. And I'll back up a little bit and I'll turn it on, and you can see that the light goes on. And when I turn it off, the light goes off. Another way to think about that is that the switch is actually true when you turn the light on and false when you turn the light off. Now let's go back and look at the program switch. Okay, we just learned that in the case of the light switch by my desk, if we flip the switch up, it's true and the light goes on. It provides power to the lamp. When you flip the switch down, the switch is false and it turns the power off to the lamp. Well, the programming switch is very similar. If you satisfy a condition over here, this is true where the check mark is, and this is false where the X is. So let's go in and look for a black line. Color, sensor, compare, color, and we can set it to black, just like we did on the previous task. Now, what's going to happen? When this switch sees a black line, it's going to execute whatever code is in this section right here. And until then, the switch is false and it'll execute this code right down here. So if we want to move forward and stop on a black line, we would put a motor control right down here. Let's try that. We can bring up a motor and simply turn it on. And as long as the switch does not see a black area or a black line, it's false and it executes this path right here. So once it does see a black line, it'll execute the codes that's in this path right up here. So we're getting close, but I think what we need to do now is put this whole thing in a loop. So let's go down and grab a flow control. There's the loop. And we're going to put the loop right at the beginning of our program, like that. And then what we'll do is we'll select the switch, see how it's highlighted, and drag it inside the loop, like that. Okay, we're getting a little closer. I'm going to bring up a couple of comment blocks here. So initially what's going on is the control block, that is the switch, is looking for the color black. If it sees black, it executes the code up here. If it does not see black, it executes the code on this path, and in this case it's going forward. The next thing to do then is to figure out what goes on in this path right up here. Well, since this whole thing is continually running in a loop, when we do see black, we'd like to stop the robot and interrupt the loop. So there's a special control right down here. It's a flow control called loop interrupt, and so we'll bring that up and we'll put it right over here, if we can get it there it goes, inside the loop. So what's going on is when we do see black, we interrupt this overall loop here, and then that would take us out to this position out here. Well, what we need to do once we get out and interrupt the loop is to stop the motors. So let's add a little bit of documentation here. So this top branch up here is to interrupt the loop when we see black, and the bottom branch is to go forward until we see black, and then we'll finish the program off. And that should have it. Let's see how well that works. Perfect.